Airbrushing t-shirts, or pretty much any other article of clothing you can think of, is a huge part of the airbrush industry. There are a lot of very talented and successful artists out there who cut their teeth initially working on t-shirts, whether they were in a booth at a mall or down at the beach. They spent a few years or more really learning and refining their skills working on t-shirts while making a living doing it. It's a great way to make a living. It's a great way to learn and hone your skills. The question I usually get is, how do we make our artwork on garments permanent? There are a few options out there, so we're going to test a couple things and see how they work out. But to get started, we got to put some paint on this shirt. I did not want to spend a lot of time on this shirt because at the end of the day, it is just a test shirt. We're going to try a couple different techniques for setting the paint to make it last a long time so your customer can enjoy your artwork for years to come. I'm not a t-shirt guy. I've never been a t-shirt guy. This is not the realm that I started my airbrush career in. At times I wished I would have, because lettering would come so much easier for me. I'm not very good at lettering. I can do the block style lettering. I can do graffiti letters. I can do slash, but when it comes to the really pretty cursive script style lettering, I am terrible at it. So I'm going to cheat and give you guys a little bonus tip in the process. For the lettering on this particular shirt, what I did is I went to my plotter and I cut out a stencil with Wicked Art Studio on it with some cursive script, the same script that's on my t-shirts. You can do this if you have a plotter, and you can also cut it out by hand. Just remember to keep reliefs where you have letters with like the D or the O that have a center section to the letter. To put it on the shirt, I use Krylon Easy Tack. This is what I've used for years. There's a number of different adhesives that you can use for this purpose. This is the one I prefer. And I'm just going to spray a light coat on the back of the stencil. Now we'll let this sit for a minute or so to tack up before we actually place it onto the canvas, and then we can airbrush our letters. Okay, this has had a few minutes to tack up. One thing worth noting is you want to make sure the paint on your shirt is dry to the touch before you start sticking any kind of stencils on your shirt. Kind of line this up about where I want it. And just press it down lightly. Make sure you get everything, because you don't want paint to bleed underneath your stencil. That looks pretty good. And you can see I've got tape around the outside of it just to control the overspray. I don't want to hog this on either, because I don't want to push paint underneath the stencil. So I'll do this in light coats using some air to dry in between. That's pretty good. And then we can just remove the stencil. Got the glue on a little bit heavy in a couple areas. But that works out pretty good, especially, and you don't have to do this for just lettering. You can use this technique for any design that you might recreate a number of times. So let's set that aside, and then we can come in and close our little gaps that I had for the letters that have a center to them. So we have our shirt painted. Now what is the best way to set the paint, or at least protect our artwork so that it will last a long time for our customer? I can tell you straight away that the best method is going to be heat setting the paint. That's what Createx recommends, to cross-link the paint to make it cure, and that's what's probably going to be the best bet, seeing as how that's what the manufacturer recommends. So let's talk about our household iron to begin with. Can you heat set the paint using your iron? It's probably better than nothing. The problem is Createx recommends that you bring this up to 325 degrees for at least 20 to 25 seconds. I'm not sure if a household iron will even get up to 325 degrees to start with. If it will, it's still problematic because the iron is only going to cover roughly about that much of the design at a time. So you would have to get it hot, set it on the shirt with something in between the shirt and your artwork, like a piece of wax paper. Allow it to get up to temperature and then leave it there for 20 to 25 seconds, and then move it and do that again and again and again until you cover the entire design. It's not worth the time involved, in my own personal opinion. We're not going to try that method for that specific reason in this video. If you had a small design, maybe something just up here, maybe it's feasible, but for a larger design like this, I don't think it's worth the time. Is there another method other than using a heat press? There is. There's Coast Airbrush has Save-T. I've never tried this before, but we're going to give it a shot. Obviously, you want to make sure and shake it up well. What I'm going to do for this test is about the third over here on this side, we'll use the Save-T. The center section I'm going to leave alone. It's just going to be dried by air, and then the third over here, we'll go ahead and heat set that with a heat press. So once you shake this up, it says to spray it 5 to 10 inches away at a 30-degree angle and use light coats. It specifically says do not overcoat, which means if you put too much product on, it's probably not going to do as well as it would if you just put a light coat on. It says to overlap your passes. That should be good according to the directions on the kit. So for the other third over here, I'm going to go ahead and heat set that. So we'll move this over to the heat press. So now this side of this shirt has been in the heat press, and although Createx recommends 325 degrees for 20 to 25 seconds, I prefer to press my shirts at 375 degrees for 30 seconds. I know several t-shirt artists in the industry, and that's what they prefer, so that's what I use. It's worth mentioning, I didn't do it on this particular shirt because, again, this is a test. But it's a good idea to place either a Teflon sheet or a piece of wax paper over your artwork, even when you're using the heat press. From this point, I'm going to wash this shirt and we'll see how well it does. when you are telling customers how to wash their shirts, I always recommend that you turn the shirt inside out, wash it in cold water. The best practice is always to hang it and let it dry once it's been washed. I don't know very many people that hang their clothes to dry anymore. I'm not going to do that. It's okay to put it in the dryer as long as it's on low heat. Understand that that will erode the paint faster when you put it in the dryer. But again, leave it inside out. A common misconception when it comes to t-shirt art is that the dryer is taking the paint off of the shirt. That's not the case. The dryer is removing fabric from the shirt. All the lint in your lint trap, that's what's actually being removed, and that's taking paint with it. So I'm going to throw this in the washer in cold water. I'll dry it on low heat, inside out, and then we'll come back and see what it looks like. So how did we do? For the record, I did allow this shirt to dry overnight in order to give the best chance for just the paint alone, as well as the Coast Airbrush Save T spray to dry before I washed it. So let's take a look at the results. Not great. There's a definite line from the heat press on this side, and it's a little bit more faded on the very edge, probably because there wasn't as much heat on the edge. But there is a significant difference between the portion that was heat pressed, the portion that wasn't, and the Save T. I really don't see much of a difference between just the paint by itself and the Save T spray. The results speak for themselves. Based on this test, I cannot recommend the Coast Airbrush Save T because I do not see any difference whatsoever between the area where I sprayed the Save T and the area that I didn't. So the bottom line is this: if you intend to airbrush t-shirts and charge people for your work, I highly recommend that you invest in a heat press. That is the tried and true method for setting paint and making it last a long time when it comes to airbrushing t-shirts. If you're a hobbyist, I also understand that a heat press can be relatively expensive. There are a variety of price ranges, and you can get smaller heat presses as well. I used a 9x12 Platen heat press for years and years and years before I got the heat press that I'm using in this video. That's brand new to me because I'm getting more and more requests for customized t-shirts. So there are other options. In fact, I got the 9x12 heat press that I have now for free when I ordered my plotter through US Cutter years ago. So you can also try the iron method. I don't know that the results will be any better than what you see here, but it's worth a shot. So I'll leave links to everything I used in this particular video in the description below. I hope you guys got something out of this. If you did, remember to like, subscribe, and share. I'm Trevor with Wicked Art Studio, and I'll see you guys next time.